Dear friends, in this video, we look at part 3 of our journey in Fisher's linear discriminant analysis, and we propose to do it with an example problem from the famous paper of Altman in the context of predicting financial bankruptcy. The data set talks about the paper-based data on the critical financial ratio due to Altman. It's a seminal paper, and Altman popularized in a way the importance of Fisher's linear discriminant analysis in finance to classify the firm into either bankrupt or solvent. Altman used two groups approach where he had 33 bankrupt firms and 33 solvent firms, total sample size of 66. The goal was to see whether the bankrupt firms and solvent firms could be sharply differentiated, separated in terms of 5 financial ratios. They are working capital to total assets, we call it as WCTA. Retained earnings to total assets, we call it RETA. Earnings before interest and taxes to total assets, EBITDA. Market value of equity to book value of the total debt, MVEBVTD. And sales to total assets, SATA. The abbreviations are done for ease of understanding the names of the financial ratios. Now, let's briefly explain the importance of each one of the ratios. All of us know the working capital to total assets ratio, WCTA, is extremely critical in measuring the net liquid assets of the firm relative to the total capitalization. So a firm which is consistently experiencing operating losses will have shrinking current assets in relation to total assets. So it's very, very important ratio. RETA, retained earnings to total assets. It's a measure of cumulative profitability over time. The age of the firm is implicitly considered in this ratio. For example, a firm which is relatively new or young will probably show a low RETA ratio and is more vulnerable to becoming bankrupt compared to a well-established organization which has stood the test of time in terms of accumulated earnings for a long time horizon. So RETA is very, very important. EBITDA, the ability of the firm's existence also depends upon its earning power of its assets. And this ratio is very critical, particularly in the corporate failure cases. So this is very important. And whether the firm is capable of paying the interest on long-term borrowed capital, and all these things which are very, very important for predicting corporate failure. Then the next ratio, which is measured by market value of equity, and the ratio shows how much the firm's assets can decline in value. And it's a very critical ratio, and this is far more effective in practice compared to the net worth to total debt ratio. The last one, which is SATA, the capital turnover ratio, is a standard financial ratio illustrating the sales generating ability of the firm. Statistically speaking, this would appear to be the least significant among the 5 ratios we have considered. However, this seems to be extremely important because of its unique relationship to the other predictor variables in the model. And therefore, we take these 5 ratios and then build the linear discriminant model computing the z-score and then the analysis thereof. We will study them in part 4 and part 5. This is part 3. Thank you very much. We will see you soon in part 4. Thanks a lot.